Welcome to the $1 Million Multi-Op Podcast. Here, you're going to find education, entertainment, and a little inspiration on how to get to the next level. Are you a DJ company owner that's looking for the secret sauce? Congrats, you found it.
What's up, everyone, and welcome to the $1 Million Multi-Op Podcast. I'm your host, David Osborne with BlueprintLearn.com. Jordan Chance is on the podcast today, and I'm not even going to get into any specific intros yet. I just want to say, what's up, Jordan?
Hey, what's going on, man? Thanks for having me.
I'm thrilled to be here, man. I wanted to do it that way because A, I'm just shooting from the hip. B, is because like what I think of when I think of Jordan Chance, it doesn't fit in enough time to make people wait to say, hey. I mean,
I had no idea there was that many people in this room. First of all, it's legit. It is packed in here. Yes,
it takes 2 hours to get here from the Atlanta airport, and they show up every time. We got to get a commercial flight in this town. The turn of the century was rough, so we'll get there. No, but okay. So I know you in so many different ways, in so many different capacities. I know you, of course, just like as a great human. I know you as a talented DJ. I know you as really gifted with design and just building. And I would say for me personally, which I've told you before, is that you're one of the forces in my life that pushes me in a great direction. I feel like, so I know you in so many different ways. And so I'm just honored to have you here to share some airtime.
Oh, thanks. I'm pumped, man. Let's do it. Let's get into it.
Boom. Yeah. So a conversation we had recently that got me thinking about what I wanted to dive in today was you were talking about kind of where Luxe Productions has been and really where Luxe Productions is this year. I mean, if you just tune in to the Instagram, you're seeing some wild stuff happening, not just in the Chicago area, but I mean, nationwide. So just give us like a little recap. What did Luxe look like pre-COVID in the 2015 to 2020 zone? We'll start there.
So pre-COVID, I would say that we were enjoying our safe little bubble. We had a good thing going locally. And I say safe bubble because I think when you have a good thing going, it's hard for you to step out and get adventurous because it feels risky and it feels unfamiliar. The good news, if you want to call it that, is that in 2020, we didn't have a choice. It was adapt or die, and we adapted. And in so many ways, although that was by far the hardest year we ever had in our entire lives, in so many ways, I'm so grateful for that, because I can absolutely say with hindsight now that we wouldn't be the company today if it wasn't for that big disruption. So, pre-COVID, pre-2020, we had a healthy mix of a DJ company and an AV company, but mainly in the Chicago and surrounding areas, focused on corporate and weddings. And I would say, we were doing, I'm trying to think of the best way to articulate the level of events, but, really kind of a mid-level event, and we were doing them very well. Post-COVID, the entire industry shook up, and what we found was that a lot of the higher end companies that were in the luxury market or doing the creative things, they either exited or changed. They changed their business model, and just as a lot of the events did, and that allowed a gap for us to really shoot through. And now today we do a tremendous amount of luxury events, and we do travel coast to coast. We get to do some of the most incredible weddings, honestly, that you've ever seen. And some of these weddings are just wild. I mean, wild. They're gorgeous, absolutely stunning. And we get to go all over Florida and California and, from top to bottom, Texas, and I'll be in Michigan in a few days, which, I don't know if that's like a destination that you brag on.
Michigan has some stuff going on.
Michigan has some stuff going on. And so what it did was it allowed us to think bigger and think more creatively, and get focused on what we've always wanted to do. But I think we were too scared to do it because we didn't want to disrupt the boat. We had a good thing going, and we were scared that, well, what if we grow too fast, or what if there's that customer's not out there? Maybe it's too competitive in that field. It's such a small niche in that luxury market, and I think we were timid to go after it, and we finally had the time to retool during that 14-month vacation that we didn't ask for. And we had time to retool and refocus and really go after it.
You had a 14-month sabbatical, right?
Right. Planning session.
Yes, your corporate retreat. You had a 14-month corporate retreat. A couple things that that went off in my head when you were talking. The first being, there's got to be a book. There's a book, right? It's called "Good is the Enemy of Great" or something like that. You know that saying? It's something to the effect of being good enough is the enemy of true greatness, right? Being comfortable. Yep. I know a lot of people in my ecosystem that, comfort is a great enemy of doing something spectacular. You get very comfortable in whatever it might be, a relationship, a business endeavor, financially, you get comfortable and you never reach towards that other thing. So, COVID was that thing that made you get uncomfortable. Yep. And forced you out a little bit. And then the other thing was our mutual friend, George Lopez out in California, said something about rebuilding the business that you want, not just the one that you had post-COVID. And I think that was something that resonated greatly with me. And I think I hear you saying the same thing. You set your sights on, what do I truly want to be at? Let's get after it.
Exactly. It's interesting when you said the difference, good is sometimes, what's in the way of great. I'll never remember. I had a very memorable conversation with a mutual friend of ours, Dave Lander, Digital Dave. And this was a long time ago. And I remember talking to him and I said, I feel stuck in my DJ career because my brides are happy. My dance floors are full. But I'm not getting those premium rates, and I'm not getting those outlandish thank yous or gifts or massive tips. I'm just getting the hug, hey, thanks, everything's great. I know I have happy customers, and I know that I'm doing a good job, but I can't seem to break into that next level. And with one sentence, he blew my mind, and he said, that's because you're a good DJ, not a memorable DJ.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, dude. And that stuck with me forever, and it'll forever stuck. And I think we can apply that to business too, right? So maybe you have maybe you have a good company and you do good work. It's no complaints, happy customers, but is it memorable? Is it enough to grow authentically on its own? Is it getting the raving fans on board that open those doors without you having to put the legwork in? That's, I think, the big difference.
Raving fans. Yeah, I heard that term from Jesse Cole with Savannah Bananas. Just what can you do in your business, just in your life? And they have like an idea box, I think, at the Savannah Bananas, where it's like, where do you get these ideas? This is a great segue, actually, I think, because was what I want to talk to you about. They have their team. They have ideas from their team. They have idea sessions, and they explore all of them, like underwear giveaways or whatever it might be. They try all of them. Some of them flop, but some of them are huge successes, and they've found a way to generate raving fans all the way from a small, summer league in Savannah, Georgia, to being on ESPN and selling out Fenway. So wow. Memorable.
Yep.
Okay, so speaking of, let's talk about your team. You don't get to extraordinary places in your business. You don't get to coast creative without a solid team that generates energy without you. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't just happen in a bubble. Talk me through kind of like just the things that come to mind first. What are some of the things that, at Luxe, things that you either do regularly or things that you try to do to get the right people pointed in the right direction and generating that energy on their own?
I think it takes time. I think, the field of dreams, if you build it, they will come. Currently, we're experiencing that right now, but, that's 15 years in the making. So it's easy to say right now, but it's been a really long journey, and it's about being consistent and doing the right things for a really long time, and then eventually it'll happen. I remember listening to a keynote from the guy from Zappos, and he said that they had built such an incredible culture that they'll never have to look to hire people again because the wait list. Now, this was back years ago. Zappos I don't think is that popular anymore, but this was like 10 years ago. But because they had built the culture and they had built the reputation that Zappos was such an incredible place to work, that overqualified people were beating down their door just for a chance to get to work there. And I remember thinking about it, and it's like, if we do the hard work, us meaning the company, eventually the reputation will get out there. I'll no longer have to look for great people ever again. They'll be dying to work into our organization. And I am super, I have a business partner. Him and I were just talking about this the other day, about how it's getting weird. It's getting surreal. The people that are reaching out to us, oftentimes I'm like, why would you want to work here? Like, dude, look at your resume, look at your pedigree. Like, why would you work here? Just really quality human beings. So we talk about Luxe as a lifestyle. So we don't talk about it as a job because it is. As we know, I think the event industry is really hard. Long hours, very stressful. And so for that reason, I feel like we have to be able to live life. I mean, a third of somebody's life is spent at work. If we just assumed 8 hours a day, right? So you think about between the age of 20 to 50, which is hopefully you have full-time employment during those ages. 10 years of that span is going to be spent at work. And if that is punching a clock, then I think that that person's going to be really unfulfilled. And I watch some of these other companies, how, they have to, have PTO because they had a blip in their childcare. And so they have to have a day off, ask for, a day off and use burn a vacation day, or, whatever the case may be. So what we do is we treat our company like a lifestyle, which is what comes first. And what's number one is the work. The work has to be prioritized number one. And as long as that is getting done, and it's getting done well and thoroughly and quickly, the rest doesn't matter much. We just had a guy literally 2 days ago. He texted me and he was like, "Hey, unfortunately our sitter fell through for the day. I'm going to be working from home." And I was like, "Great." And so that, I think, and all day long, he is on his emails, he is on his, he's very efficiently and very quickly doing his job. And it allows him to be a better employee when he doesn't have the stress of the home. Because if we would have had this really tight, strict, rules, and I would have said, well, tough, figure it out. Now he's coming into work stressed because he had this last minute blip and he's trying to figure it out, and his phone's probably blowing up because it's not an ideal situation. And we can negate all of that by now he's home, he's relaxed, he's with his kid, and he's working really hard, and he's super focused. And so it's a lifestyle. And I think because we demand a lot, because that's what this business is, we can also give a lot.
Oh, Jordan got the level up.
Did I just win a prize?
You did. I'm flying out to your house tomorrow.
Yes.
It's going to take 2 hours to get to the airport. Sorry. No, that's incredible. And, it's kind of a little behind the scenes. When I prepare for a podcast interview, I write down some questions and I think about these questions, but it's sometimes these, what you just said is not what I had in my mind with, but this is better. This is better than what I had thought, because when you're talking about really getting a team that's empowered and getting a team that is energized on their own, it's almost like that doesn't come from a system, that doesn't come from a process, that doesn't come from a playbook that you can hand another human and say, ready, go, lead this team. It's it's like operational leadership where you're casting a vision for something that's bigger than everyone's lives. It's something
Yep.
that they're proud to be part of. It's a brand. You're building a brand
Yep.
that is exciting, and you're living it. You personally are living it, and people, you're attracting it because you're building such a movement that's bigger than yourself. And you read a book about vision casting and mission in a business, they're going to tell you that this is the kind of thing that you should be looking for. This is the kind of thing that you should strive for. It's simple, but it's not easy. But like, what is the thing that people want to get behind because they believe in it?
Yep. Yeah. And I think that's what allows the ownership mentality, and that's what allows the buy-in. We talk about the brand all the time, Luxe being the brand. And, we have very open dialogue, in our warehouse, in our offices about, our brand loyalty, and we hold the brand at a high level. Because if the brand is at a high level, then we get to do really cool stuff. We get cool customers, we get cool experiences, we get to travel all over the world. Right now, as we are sitting here doing this podcast, we have 2 team members in the Caribbean and Carousel. They're working for the Interpol. So they're doing a job there. So they're literally in the Caribbean doing a job. And then I have 26 people right now loading in Teddy Swims for a concert tonight. And so when you talk about like the coolness of when the brand, when we hold the brand high, then the brand gets great opportunity, and then they in turn get great opportunity to do really cool stuff, and that's the machine. So that's the cycle, right? The brand will take care of us if we take care of the brand.
I just thought about this. I've heard many people refer to themselves, like the CEO of a company, as the tip of the spear, right? So you're the person that goes out and you generate the XYZ, and then the rest of the team gets the whatever it is that you've generated. But what I hear you saying is that Luxe is the tip of the spear. You have created a thing that is not you, that is the tip of the spear, that is making way. It is like, it's the sticks of dynamite that's excavating new opportunities on your behalf, which is incredible, man. That's awesome.
Yep. It's pretty cool.
So talk to me about like, okay, you have people that buy in, that are excited about Luxe, that are so eager to contribute now. You're gonna get some people that give you amazing ideas. If you get the right people on your team, you have people that are better at things than you are. So when you get someone that's got a transformational idea, that's amazing. But sometimes you got some stinkers, right? You got some ideas that flop. I mentioned the Savannah Bananas before. I think, like I said, they had underwear night. Everyone put on underwear and they're like, whoops. When someone comes to you on your team, whether they're on a higher level, on a administrative level, or it's someone that's, a newer staff member, and they want to contribute, they feel that brand excitement, they live the Luxe way, and they're like, Jordan, I got this thing, man. And you're like, okay, let's try it. And it just doesn't work. Talk me through what your process is to keep people excited, but saying, yeah, this isn't we can't do this thing. Sorry.
So we have some incredible minds at Luxe, and I think that what's cool about that is it almost acts as a board of director for decisions, and everybody has a little bit different strength. One might have a very strong touring background. One might have a very strong design background. One might have a very strong sales background. So whatever the case may be, and we keep the culture. Our culture is very open to ideas because we're growing at a very fast pace at the moment, and so we cannot keep doing business the way that we're doing business. The way that we're doing business right now has to be different 6 months from now, and it has to be different a year from now. And so we know that because we talk about it. We're implementing some SOPs right now that are going to get trashed in a year. I can promise you. And so we haven't, I think, so to answer your question, it's like first creating the culture that ideas are welcome and open. And then the harder part is how to navigate the bad ideas without hurting the feelings.
Yeah.
And I think we do that really well, because we approach it with some empathy and respect. And I think the easiest way that we've kind of been able to go over that hurdle is honestly with me. Meaning, I was able to really show some poor decisions and some poor ideas, and and then showing how to be very open, when my guys are going, dude, that's a terrible idea. Like, this and this and this, and this is why. And then I have the responsibility. It's really just a check on your ego. I have the responsibility to say, yeah, I didn't think about it that way. You're right. That's a terrible idea. And I think oftentimes our egos as owners definitely get in the way. And about 3 years ago, I learned that if I just get out of the way, man, we can go so much further. Like I am absolutely what's holding us back. And it doesn't matter how talented or untalented you are as a leader. The reality is you're a human being and you only have so much bandwidth. And so that when I really started to get out of the way, we started to explode. And so just having that self-awareness, that humility of just, again, I think it's that servant leadership, man. It's going back to what we were talking about with the culture and the buy-in. It's being willing to be that vulnerable. And when you show the vulnerability as from the top up, or sorry, from the top down, everybody else starts to embody that as well. So now we've got a great culture of always challenging ideas, but in this really respectful manner. Hey, I've got this idea. And then the next person says, well, I like that, but I don't like this piece. And here's why this would be better. Oh, now we've got a great idea.
That makes me think about a conversation I had on a podcast, actually, with Jonathan Simmons. Feels like a year ago. It may have been a year ago. Who knows? And he spoke about energizing his team because he leads by example with the work. He's like, if I'm going to demand a high expectation from my team, they better see me working. They better see me grinding too. And I think you lose a lot of that energy when you stop. And I'm everything that you are saying over and over again. We've talked about a few different things. We've talked about, some specifics of some different, some directions in the conversation, but it keeps coming back to this same central theme that you, Jordan, are a light. Like, you are leading by example. You are doing the things that you're expecting other people to do. If you're saying, I want you to come up with great ideas and I want to be able to tell you that they're not great, I am also going to give ideas that might be terrible, and I want you to call me on it, please. And people they feel safe. They feel safe to take risks because you're doing it too.
Yep.
Our mutual friend Jamie Bodie shared this a while back. He does it in planning meetings when he used to DJ, where he would say, okay, guys, I'm going to give you 20 ideas for your wedding. I'm just going to throw them out there. As long as you promise me that you're going to tell me the ones that you love, and tell me if you hate it. If you hate it, tell me. But in return, I'm going to ask that if you tell me an idea for your wedding, that you want me to tell you if it's a great idea or a bad idea too. And they'd be like, oh, of course, Jamie. And he would get that great trust and buy-in from them just in a planning call. And I'm like, that's so smart. And I hear you doing the same thing.
I think what's unique in our office is the transparency in which we speak in. I really do. And as I've spent time with other business owners and folks at conferences and whatnot, I get that more and more and more. And we've had even some visitors from like Think Tank or whoever, and they've kind of said, hey, I'm surprised that your guys, we're looking at that. I'm surprised that one guy that stopped by said, hey, I'm surprised that your guys could see like what you guys were charging the customer. And I was like, well, yeah, I mean, what does that have to do with anything? I mean, it's just what we charge. Like, and I think there's oftentimes, I think owners think that there has to be this level of secrecy, and the reality is, like, we talk open and honest, like the company has to make money. I have to make money. You have to make money. There's no hiding anything. Look, if the company doesn't have a great profit, you don't have a job. So what's there to hide there? There's nothing to hide there.
Yeah.
And if we're not making good money, we can't buy that truck, and we can't move into that new space, and we can't hire more teammates, and we can't. So, but there's this weird culture hush hush about like, well, nobody needs to know that the business made $2,000 on this event, and it's like, well, why? I mean, we have to.
Yeah. You look at any DJ chat group, any of the Facebook groups, which some are better than others, I'm just going to say, but you see a lot of conversations with people that are solo op DJs that don't understand multi-op models. They don't understand profitability because, and I used to be guilty of this too. When I started a multi-op years ago, and I used to be a gigging trumpet player, I would think, I thought like a gigging musician, and I'll be like, you're making money? You should just be handing me a gig. And you're like, listen, if they didn't make any money, no one would be handing you a gig.
That's right.
they'd be doing something else. So for them to exist, they got to make money so they can offer you a gig. Like, okay, come on. But it just takes some of that. You got to, sometimes you just don't know how hard things are until you try them for yourself. And see for yourself, oh my gosh, I should probably try and make some money.
And every once in a while, a team member may not be able to grasp those concepts, right? Like, and I think that just comes down to a maturity level of, maybe they're a young folk, wow, that made me sound really old. Maybe they're a young folk.
You do have corn internet, so
yeah. Hey, that's just because I'm out in the middle of nowhere. But maybe they're younger and they just don't have that experience or the maturity to think that through. Or some people, honestly, they just don't get it. They just don't get the business aptitude side of things. I've been able to help navigate some of those folks. And I'm like, hey, when our van broke 2 weeks ago, who fixed that? Remember when you dropped that speaker and it needed a new grill? Who fixed that? Where does this money come from? We have to be profitable. Yeah.
You're connecting the dots and make it real for people. But yeah, that's really what it's all about. And that's when, this conversation about empowering teams and empowering your staff and empowering a company to go from good to great to excellent to memorable. That's what it takes. It takes, like, as Gary Vee says, like, as a leader, you've got to put your head in the clouds and work on the high level stuff, but also not be afraid to get your feet and your hands dirty in the dirt and like get on the ground level stuff and carry in a speaker or, like actually help do production work or, be the person who's taping cables. Someone said on something recently, like, I just want to be the guys taping cables. Maybe that was you. Did you say that?
It was.
It was you. I love it.
Yep. Yeah. And I've told a lot of people that I think, again, it goes to an ego thing, right? But if I'm unloaded, if we have a big job going on and we have a bunch of team members on site, if I'm unloading the truck and if I'm taping cables or if I'm wrapping cables, then we are a very successful company. Yeah. If I'm behind the desk, if I'm running the show, if I'm the TD or, whatever, then, and sometimes that's needed because on a higher level show, it is a high skill set, right? So I'm not saying this is always like, because I'll TD on some of our, more higher shows just because there's an importance level there for sure. But if you can be the guy as the owner, if you can be the guy helping unload the truck and wrapping the cable and all of that stuff, I would argue that you have a very successful company. Because it's not lynched on you. Because those roles you can always find, you can always build that team really simply. It's not easy to find operators, or TDs or leads, or those are very difficult. That's a very specific skill set. And so if all those roles are full and you're just the guy just doing some random stuff, then well done. Well done.
Well done indeed. You said something kind of in the middle of our conversation about really it's about getting rid of the ego. And I think for people listening to this podcast, we operate in an industry. No one is surprised. 0 people are surprised when we say there's a lot of ego in the DJ industry. And I'm not saying I don't. I'm just saying, like, it is a big part of our industry. When you are able to pull your ego aside and realize that your vision for what could be, that greatness that's in front of you, just requires you, like Jordan says, to get out of the way and let other people shine. That's where the real empowerment actually comes from. It comes from you. You have to get out of the way. You have to be okay to not drive the bus.
Yep. I think egos are important, honestly. And I think they're necessary. So confidence and having an ego is important for anybody who's going to stand on a stage, because you can't stand in front of 200 people without a very high level of confidence and a little bit of an ego. Sure. It's where you place your ego that matters. So everybody has an ego, and it's where you place the value of the ego that matters. When you place the value of the ego around Jordan Chance, that's not good. But when you place the value of the ego around the brand, meaning Luxe, that's the change. That's the difference. I have a tremendous ego around Luxe, but not around Jordan. And so that's why building that team and all these other things that we've talked about is so important. But I care a lot about what people think of Luxe, of the brand.
I would drop a mic, but it's screwed on to my desk. That was a fantastic way to end our time together. This has been a gem of a conversation. Jordan, tell people how they can find you and see some of this gorgeous, beautiful work that you guys are doing out there in the world.
So you can follow Luxe, Instagram, all the socials. It's Luxe Pro Events, and Luxe is Luxe. And then I'm on Instagram as I am Jordan Chance.
Love it. Guys, as always, free resources, blueprintlearn.com/resources. And Jordan, thank you again. And we'll see everybody on the next one.